our last session of D&D ended with, you guys know Vicious. We broke into an orphanage. Now look, I know that the start of this story is already a little questionable. The last session of D&D, we broke into an orphanage in the middle of the night. And the reason we broke into the orphanage is because the people who own this orphanage are working with some kind of fiends or demons, and we have a suspicion that they're using these kids in some way, like maybe the demons are eating them. They're like a sacrifice or something. So we break into an orphanage. Everything's going fine. So far, we break into the orphanage. Everything's going fine. We go upstairs to the second floor of the orphanage. And everything's cool. We haven't run into anybody. Nobody's detected us. There's a crate or like a chest. And we're like, ooh, a chest. And then behind the chest, there's like a secret compartment that we find or whatever. We're like, oh shit, this is going to be tight. And then, of course, the chest springs alive and it's a mimic. And the chest starts to eat us. So we kill the chest. But the chest, when we get into this combat, it makes a bunch of noise, right? I'm playing a paladin. It makes a bunch of noise. And we're like, oh shit. This is bad, right? Like, fucking people are going to hear us. You know, they're going to know that we're around. This is bad news. What are we going to do? So after we kill the chest, we hear people come in downstairs and we're on the second floor. And we're like, fuck. Okay, this is bad. Yeah, it's in 5e. We're like, this is bad. What are we going to do? We have 5 people, right? We have 5 people overall, which is, you know, a pretty sizable chunk. As sizable as these 100 bits. We have the 5 of us. We have a human paladin. We have a changeling monk. That's Vicious. We have a gnome wizard. We have a half-elf bard and a half-elf warlock. Right? 5e is the edition of Dungeons & Dragons, the 5th edition. So we're like, oh shit, people are coming. Hide. So we have 3 people going to the other, or 2 people going to the other room. And then we have 3 people in one room. And we duck under the bed. Right? I, the paladin, and the bard duck under the bed. We're like, all right, we're going to hide. And our changeling, we're like, well, changelings, they can change the way they look into anything, right? Into whatever they want. So we're like, just make yourself look like the person who owns this place and pretend that you're here, just you own the place, so everything's normal. And he was like, all right. So Vicious walks up, and then he realizes he has no idea what the person who owns the place is. We had met previously with the people who own this orphanage, but he didn't go inside for the meeting, and I don't fucking know why. Like, in hindsight, I don't know why he didn't come in. Like, he's just so fucking shady. He just didn't come in the building with us. He's like, I'll wait outside. So we're like, look like like them, right? And he's like, all right, I'm gonna do that. And then he goes, fuck. I don't know what they look like. So we're like, turn into something else. I don't know anything. So he turns into like a 6'5", like fucking real menacing looking dude. So the guys walk in and they see him and they're like, ah, and they stab him in the chest. They stab him in the chest because why wouldn't they? He's a fucking intruder. So he gets stabbed in the chest because they're like, oh shit, this guy, and they just stab him. And then we get into combat. There turns out to be 3 of them. Why did he stab him? Because it's a giant 6'5" dude who broke into an orphanage in the middle of the night. And they're guards who are supposed to be watching this place. So yeah, of course they stabbed him. So after they stabbed him, and things weren't going well, he was hit by an inflict wounds, which killed him instantly. So we clean up the fight, we kill all 3 bad guys, but our party member dies. And we're like, fuck. He gets hit by like a 23 damage inflict wounds. And if you don't know how D&D works, so let's say you have 20 health points and you get hit by an attack that does 23 damage. No problem. You go down. And while you're down, you make death saving throws and you make rolls to see if you live or not. The only exception to that is if somebody does so much damage to you that it goes past your current life and over your life total. So I think Vicious's character had like 16 life, right? Total. He was at 6 HP, and he got hit with a 23 damage inflict wounds at level 2, right? And the math says he had 6 life, then he has an extra 16. 23 damage is 1 more than it would have taken to kill him. So he just dies immediately. And we're like, fuck, what are we gonna do? He's dead. We're in an orphanage. We just broke a bunch of noise. or made a bunch of noise. We fucking broke a chest. So we're like, well, the good news is there's a secret passage behind the chest or whatever, and we can get the information from this house and all the valuables. So we turn around and a dark figure jumps out the window, and we're like, no. We run on over and we check the secret, like, you know, hole where all the goodies are gone. All of it's gone. So we broke into this orphanage. We had to fight a chest. Behind the chest, we found a secret, you know, compartment with useful stuff. But before we could loot it, people came in. Get into a fight. Our party members permanently killed. We go back for the loot. The loot is gone. And we're like, oh my God, what are we gonna do? So, of course, we wrapped Jeremy's body up in a giant carpet. And we sneak him back to our house. I had to carry it. I was sneaking around. We wrapped this bitch ass up in a carpet and we just fucking ran down the streets, the middle of the night. A couple blocks from where we're staying. Sneak him in and we're like, fuck, what are we gonna do with this body? As soon as we walk in to our house that we own, on the floor is the decapitated body of the only friendly guard that we know in the entire city. And there's a note that says, I wonder whose head I'll take next. And then, if it doesn't get any worse, we were like, this is just the worst night of all time. What are we supposed to do? Nothing's gone right. So we had to draw straws to see who would chop up the bodies and burn them in the fireplace. And that was the last session we played. Let's see if Street Fighter works. I drew the short straw. Yeah, currently we have a serial killer who wants to come after us. Mostly Ringe's character. We have a demon next door who's a detective who found out he's a fiend. He found out that we knew he was a fiend, and he wants to kill us. We've got a very rich family of people that want to kill us. It's not looking good so far for the home team.